I threw the scanner onto the dental chair table.
Oh, please don't ever do that again. That's my scanner. Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Keun Jang, the host of Please Solve Me. Welcome back to another episode of our webinar. Joining us again is Chan, who has fully recovered.
Hello everyone, this is Chen Lee. It's good to be back.
Good to see you back, Chan.
Thanks.
Let's get on with the July session. The topic of this month is back to basics. Over the past 2 months, we have been diving into more detailed questions and answers. However, in July session, we'll be covering more general but just as important questions. We have picked 4 questions that have been asked over the last 2 months. We have found that many users have been asking these same questions over and over. So, we want to provide a guideline to answer these frequently asked questions. Some of these have been answered in the past, but today we will give another perspective on these questions.
Why do I get this crash blue screen every time I handle a big case?
This is first question. The user mentioned that he keeps getting this crash screen whenever he processes a big case. This blue screen error can result in the freezing your computer and loss of data, so we understand how frustrating this can be, which is why we want to address this today. So let's talk about this. Chen, we have seen this problem occur in our clinic too, right?
Yes, the last time this happened, I was scanning a full mouse case and I got so angry that I threw the scanner onto the dental chair table.
Oh, please don't ever do that again. That's my scanner.
That makes sure it's worse.
I'll do what I can. Actually, I think that happened because the scanner was connected to my old desktop computer and assumed it was a hardware issue. At that time, I didn't know the solution, so I had no choice but to buy an expensive latest model computer for a quick fix. Fortunately, that issue hasn't occurred since, and I was able to manage Chan's anger. So, from our experience, this was a problem related to computer hardware, but it's not practical to buy a new computer just to fix this issue. Other users say that they have experienced this too. Some attribute this to being a BIOS setting issue, while others suggest it's due to an insufficient RAM or overheating related to the CPU cooler. Or could it be an issue with the scanner itself? Which of these is right? Let's take a closer look with a solution video.
The blue screen error is a very frustrating situation. It is especially problematic when it occurs near the end of scanning a full arch implant scan case, as we lose the data and find it difficult to explain the situation to the patient. Therefore, we need to know the causes of these errors and regularly maintain the computer used for scanning to avoid the blue screen. What causes this? After doing some online research, we found that there are a lot of different possible reasons for the blue screen to come up, and here are some examples of the error codes you might see. Each of these error codes requires a different solution, but because it's very technical, it's difficult for us non-experts to resolve each one. So, prevention is the best way to avoid this issue. Let's look at the guidelines provided by a technical expert for preventing blue screen errors. He recommends regularly updating hardware drivers, cleaning the inside of the computer to prevent dust buildup, and using diagnostic programs to check for any hardware connection issues. The key is to keep the computer hardware in optimal condition. The 4 main causes identified are as follows. The main one is due to BIOS not being up to date. The reason for the error will appear as a code on the blue screen, but it's something that we might ignore, so it's a good idea to take a picture of the error screen to identify the cause. Previously, we experienced many blue screen issues with old computers, but they did not occur with newly purchased ones. This is likely because all hardware, including BIOS, were up to date on the new computers. If you want to update BIOS on an older computer, press the F2 button during the Windows startup phase to enter the setup, then check the version. If it is not the newest version and you are getting blue screen errors, you should update it. The next main cause is the graphic driver not being updated, or there is something wrong with it. The Medit support team always emphasizes the importance of keeping graphic card drivers up to date, so you should make it a habit to do this. However, even consistent updates don't guarantee that you won't see graphic card-related blue screen errors. Sometimes it's not the how updated the graphic card driver is, but an issue with the condition of the graphic card itself. For example, an older graphic card might have a suboptimal cooling fan so it's overheating, or the condition of the graphic card insertion slot can deteriorate over time. So both the hardware and software aspects of the graphic cards need to be checked. Next is an issue related to the computer CPU cooler. Since a user replied pointing out cooler problems in their response, we conducted an online search on this topic. What we found was these blue screen errors commonly occur among gamers playing high-resolution games. So this is not a scanner-exclusive issue, but rather an intensive CPU usage issue. Many people reported seeing the blue screen errors, 10 to 15 minutes of playing their high-resolution games, but they would never see this while performing general computer tasks. This is exactly what dentists report while scanning. If there is an issue with the CPU cooler, we can verify it using CPU temperature monitoring programs. Video game enthusiasts continuously monitor CPU temperatures and repair or replace coolers as needed. For us, whose computer performance is just as critical, it is essential to check the CPU temperature if blue screen errors frequently occur. Lastly, another highly relevant issue is related to random access memory. Each RAM has its own clock speed, and if all RAM are not at same clock speed, blue screen errors could arise due to this hardware conflict. This was a problem that Dr. Zhang personally experienced. To upgrade his computer, he purchased new RAM and installed it in the slots by himself. However, the new RAM and the existing RAM were from different manufacturers, and their clock speeds did not match. The problem was completely resolved after replacing all the RAM with the same product. Therefore, caution is necessary when upgrading RAM. My advice is to check existing RAM specifications and ensure your RAM purchase matches the same specification. So far, we have identified the 4 main causes of blue screen errors and their solutions. If you frequently experience blue screen errors, it is likely that one of our guidelines today will help you. If the error is more complex and not covered here, we recommend seeking assistance from a computer professional. Remember, to ensure optimal scanner performance, we have a responsibility to maintain our computers in the best condition possible. I hope that answers the blue screen error question.
What should I do if the scanbody I am using is not registered in the Medit library?
The second question is about how to raise scanbodies on the Medit software. I assume that Anthony has just started using this new system, so he's not sure if this scanbody is registered in the library by default. This is a very commonly asked question. I have seen this question so many times. You may already know that you have to manually register your scanbody if it's not already in the library. So today, I want to explain how to do this in detail for those of you new to Medit. Chen, do you know how to do this?
No, I am not really familiar with computer-related stuff, so I don't know how to do this. And that's your job.
Fair enough. In our clinic, all technical computer jobs are shouldered by me. It's really tough because I'm a dentist, not a computer technician. Actually, I can't even remember all the steps involving in registering a scanbody because I just follow along on YouTube tutorial. I want to summarize this step in the easiest way. Let's watch a solution video.
Questions about the scanbody library are among the most frequently asked in the Medit Facebook user community. Although there are numerous questions posted about various types of scanbodies, the method for registering the library is actually the same. It is simpler than it seems once you understand the step-by-step procedure. Let's go over the steps and the important points to keep in mind at each stage. Before registering a newly introduced scanbody, first check if the scanbody library is already installed in the Medit software. Most commonly used scanbodies are registered, but newly released scanbodies or compatible scanbodies may not be registered. If the scanbody is not registered, you can still perform the scan and ask the dental lab to download the library and align it for you. However, to better utilize the scanbody, you must install the library within the scan software. Next, let's look at how to obtain the scanbody library. According to answers to various questions posted in the community, it is recommended to search for the scanbody manufacturer on the exocad site to download it. However, this method requires a serial number, so if you are not an exocad user, you will not be able to download the library files through this route. In such cases, you can download the library directly from the manufacturer's website. Most manufacturers provide scanbody libraries categorized by item on their websites for users to download. Another method, preferred by Dr. Zheng, is to contact the manufacturer directly. Direct communication allows you to request files with various mesh resolutions according to your preferences and discuss usage precautions related to the scanbody design. Among the three methods just introduced, the most commonly attempted approach is to visit the scanbody manufacturer's website. On the scanbody manufacturer's website, you can typically find the library uploaded in the support or download section. Scanbody manufacturers typically offer various libraries depending on the design program, and we usually download and use the one for exocad. You can download and use this scanbody library as is, but if you're familiar with a program like MeshMixer to modify the structure for better scanning, you can take this optional step. We want to explain the rationale behind modifying the scanbody library that is easy to understand. As we all know, scanned data is a collection of points that come together to form a polygonal mesh, and density of this mesh will differ between products from different manufacturers. This means that if we can match the density of our scan to a newly added one in our library, our result would be more easily and accurately aligned. So if your scanbody is already registered in the library by default, there is no need to worry about adjusting mesh density. But if you want to use a new scanbody that is not registered, you can customize it to make it more suitable for use in the Medit software. The purpose of using an editing program like MeshMixer is to adjust the mesh density of the new scanbody library to an optimal level, not too high and not too low, to suit the scanning environment. If you search on YouTube, you'll find various tutorial videos that kindly explain the method. These videos are neatly and clearly organized, much like the 9-step guide shown on the screen. However, I found it challenging to follow the instructions for using MeshMixer. Eventually, I started looking for a simpler and more intuitive program and discovered an app called Medit Design. Medit provides various apps with diverse functionalities for user convenience. Among them, you can easily adjust the mesh density using the software called Medit Design. Using this app, you can simply control the mesh density by clicking the mesh resolution function. As shown in the video, you can easily adjust the mesh density by dragging the button. However, if you are not confident in doing this, you can directly request the manufacturer to make this adjustment for you. Let's take a look at this amazing post from 5 years ago. He introduced how understanding and modifying the scanbody library we use can improve results and make our lives easier and happier. Dr. Zhang wanted to learn the great task of optimizing scanbodies and has been working on it for the past few years, but eventually realized that it is not an easy task. Therefore, currently, if a newly adopted scanbody does not work well within the scan program, he requests modifications through thorough discussions with the scanbody manufacturer's technicians. Particularly, if the scanbody has sharp edges, rounding them to match the patient scan data better is certainly meaningful. Therefore, if you're going to use a new scanbody, observe its shape and request necessary customizations from the company before registering the library. Registering a new scanbody is not hard at all. Actually, it's quite simple. You may have seen this icon on the screen while you are scanning. Clicking it will take you to this menu where you can manage your library. Here, you can easily add a library by clicking the Add a Library button. Another handy tip is to use the Add to Favorites button. This will make it so that your most frequently used products will appear at the top. That way, you save time during the selection process because you don't have to scroll through everything. Once this registration process is successfully completed, you will be able to find the newly registered scanbody in the Medit library immediately, making it more convenient to use. Although it may be cumbersome, completing the registration of scanbodies is essential to not only ensure alignment, but also to utilize the strengths of Medit software, such as the AI matching feature. Therefore, after introducing a new scan body, avoid the hassle of asking the dental lab for alignment and instead register it yourself and perform the alignment. This concludes the answer to how to register new scan bodies.
Please help, I'm having trouble properly aligning a cylinderical-shaped scan body.
This is the third question we are gonna go over today. Dr. Yu is currently having issues with scanbody alignment on the Medit software. He registered a new scanbody from a company called MyPlan2 and tried to scan and align it on Medit software, but it didn't work. I think it's a case worth looking at because this issue could happen after you successfully register your scanbody. So today, we'll find out why this happened and how we can accurately align the new scanbody. Let's look at the comments from other users. Dr. Stas had the same experience with Starbucks scanbodies, and she thinks this is related to the shape of scanbody. Dr. Zhang, who is a long-time user of Medit scanner, recommended using manual alignment. He kindly explained a way to align scanbody using 3 points, which have 2 corners of flat surface and the center point. Dr. Barrera also recommended using manual alignment method and adjusting the size of dimension files over the scan data. I think I would also use this method called 3-point alignment to manually align a scan body of this shape. And I agree that the problems may have occurred due to the simple shape of scan body. The shape of scan body from both MyPlan2 and Cerament are simpler compared to other scan bodies. Tim, what do you think about this?
I agree with you. I've had a very similar problem when scanning a simple shape scan body. So I personally prefer using a scan body in a more complex shape.
Right, so in our clinic, although complex shape is harder to scan, we scan bodies with more details as standard because it gives us more accurate result. And let's take a look at a solution video to answer his question.
Let's find out how to perform manual alignment accurately and how the alignment method and the shape of the scan body can affect accuracy. First, let's take a look at the picture he posted. Instead of matching the scan body later in a design program like ExoCAD, he attempted to scan and align the scan body at the same time using the Medit software. We would also do the same thing in this situation, since performing the alignment ourselves make us better verify the accuracy. As discussed in the previous session, this prevents technicians from choosing a wrong component on the design program. It seems like that Dr. Yu tried to align the scan body several times by putting a single point on the side of the scan body, but it didn't work. What could be the cause for this problem? Some users suspected that the issue arose from the simple shape of the scan body and using improper alignment method. Indeed, these factors have been shown to affect alignment accuracy in various research papers. For example, MyPlant2 and Straumann scan bodies have a simple cylindrical shape with only one D-cut plane. Alignment would be easier if the scan body had 2 different D-cut shapes or a more complex design. However, many manufacturers stick to simple shapes due to patent issues. While we could manually modify the scan body to make it more complex and register the modified version in the Medit software for easier alignment, this is too complicated, so it's not a practical solution. Then, realistically, what would be the best way to align simple-shaped scan bodies? I want to revisit the paper I introduced in the May session. It showed that the alignment accuracy is affected by the exposed length of the scan body and the number of alignment points. Reflecting this, we need to ensure that a sufficient portion of the scan body needs to be scanned and understand that the 3-point method is superior to the 1-point method. So, we need to find the best 3-point alignment method for the scan bodies frequently used in our clinic and standardize it for the staff. In the 3-point alignment method, where should we place the points to get the best accuracy? We diligently searched through papers but couldn't find any specific mention of which positions are more advantageous for placing the 3 points. Placing the 3 points means identifying the 3 most distinctive parts of a shape to set their positional relationship. Given that the recognized part of the scan body is D-shaped, 2 points would typically be the two corners of the D, and the third point would be placed at the center or the midpoint of the flat side of the D. In our clinic, the scan body from Neobiotech also has a relatively simple shape. Because the D cut of this scan body is shallow, we standardize the matching points at two corners and the lowest midpoint. The key point here will be whether we can reproduce the exact triangular points every time we use the scan body. For the scan bodies of Myplant and Straumann, matching them as shown in this diagram seems to be the most accurate. If this alignment method still doesn't work, you would have to check if the mesh density of the library well matches with the scan data, as discussed in question number 2. We have prepared a dentiform for demonstration purposes to aid in understanding scan body alignment. To achieve alignment, the process begins by selecting the correct specifications from the scan body library. Let's take a look at scanning implants number 46 and number 47 sequentially. First, we will attempt to scan implant number 46. In the video we are currently viewing, the Medit AI matching feature has automatically completed the alignment. Once the alignment is automatically completed, check the accuracy using the color coding. If satisfied with the alignment, finalize the process with the aligned state as it is. However, there are instances where AI matching does not work well due to the shape of the scan body. In such cases, as previously mentioned, you can perform manual alignment using 3 points. What you are currently watching is the process of accurately aligning a simple shape of a scan body using 3-point alignment in our clinic. Although it may not work on the first try, if you calmly click on the precise points, you will usually get satisfactory alignment results within 3 attempts. The reason we insist on 3-point alignment, even though it may take time, is because the accuracy of the alignment is directly related to the accuracy of the prosthetics, which is very important to us. This concludes the response to question number 3.
How can I accurately scan two closely positioned scan bodies?
The next question is about scanning result of scanbodies. Because this user put so much time into asking this question, I want to make sure he gets a proper answer that addresses all his concerns. If we summarize this, he got a percent misfit because of scan data inaccuracy when two scan bodies were too close to each other. So, he wants to know if this problem is due to scan technique or space proximity, and if this could be solved without using analog method. This is a very interesting question, so let's cover this. Chen, what is your opinion on this?
I think it's an issue with scanning sequence. I assume that he scanned both scan body at the same time. If we scan them one at a time, this would have been prevented.
I agree. Especially in this case, we attributed the problem to be proximity between the scan bodies. There was not enough space, making it difficult to scan the whole portion of the scan body precisely. So, I think it can also attribute it to the scan body size and the way it is positioned. I think a strategic positioning of scan body can provide a better scan environment for this situation. Let's look at other users' comment. One kind user gave a very detailed response to this question, and it was a perfect answer. It was almost like he provided a manual for scanning two scan bodies. So today, we want to expand on his scanning technique through a scanning video. And I want to introduce the way I position scan bodies, which was inspired by a scientific paper. Let's watch the solution video.
This issue concerns how to accurately scan two scan bodies simultaneously. He mentioned that there are no problems with scanning general cases like with bridges and implant crowns. However, as shown in the picture, difficulties arise when the two scan bodies are too close to each other or when there is insufficient space between them and the adjacent teeth. In these cases, overlapping occurs during scanning, or there isn't enough space for the scanner's light to pass through, preventing accurate recording of the D-cut areas. How can we overcome this? Let's consider the best methods for scanning two scan bodies simultaneously when space is limited. As you can see from the scan data, the number 15 scan body is almost touching the number 16 scan body. While the questioner may have verified the correct fit of the scan body using X-rays, if the gap between the two scan bodies is not visible to the naked eye, there could be slight vertical alignment errors that we cannot perceive. Therefore, we need to consider a strategic approach to rescue private number 15 from that situation. The easiest method is to switch the scan body to one with a smaller diameter. However, this may not be possible if the type of implant connection differs. In such cases, Dr. Zhang prefers to use a 15-degree angled stock abutment for one of the two implants during scanning. This generally ensures space between the abutment and the scan body. After that, the prosthesis is usually delivered as single prostheses for each implant rather than splinting the two implants together in order to ensure ease of cleaning. Another approach is to change the scanning order and use the lock function. Although it may be a bit cumbersome, this method involves connecting and scanning the scan bodies one at a time instead of simultaneously. In this case, you could scan first with only the number 15 scan body, then lock the scan data, and remove that scan body and connect it to the number 16 site to proceed with the next scan. By doing so, you can fully protect the data for number 15 before scanning the next implant at number 16, thereby reducing the possibility of errors due to overlap. Most cases where scan bodies are positioned closely together can be resolved by combining these two strategies. But what if there is a more extreme situation where the gap is so narrow that it is impossible to place two scan bodies simultaneously? How should we resolve such an extreme case? So I would like to introduce a relevant research paper that addresses this issue. The article includes a picture showing a manual modification of the back part of the scan body. You might worry that such manual modifications could compromise accuracy, but the critical matching area is the front 50% of the surface, which includes the D-cut. Therefore, the back part is not relevant. Modifying the scan body in this way can actually enhance the scan body's features, making it easier to record its shape accurately. As discussed in another question, the alignment process uses 3 points on the D-cut area, so you can confidently make this modification whenever you want. Remember this tip on changing the scan body shape in extreme situations. Now that we have learned strategies for managing limited space, let's organize the necessary steps for scanning in sequence. To aid visual understanding, we have created a practice dentiform with a situation similar to the questioner's case, where there is a lack of mesiodistal space. This issue commonly occurs when an edentulous area has been left untreated for a long time, causing adjacent teeth to tilt and encroach on the space. In this case, even if implants are placed accurately, the standard scan body sizes that we use can lead to this spacing issue. So it's essential to measure the mesiodistal distance before connecting the scan bodies. If necessary, reducing the adjacent teeth beforehand to make room for the scan bodies is recommended. As mentioned earlier, choose the smallest size scan body possible or connect stock abutments and modify them as needed. Next is the process of connecting the scan bodies. Similar to the scanning strategy introduced in the article for severely tilted implants, the proper positioning of the D-cut areas, which is the most important part of the scan body, is crucial to make scanning easier. There are many possible combinations of D-cut orientations depending on the positions where the scan bodies are connected. It is definitely an important strategy to consider which direction to position the D-cut. For example, if the two D-cuts are positioned close to each other, the scanner could get confused and be unable to distinguish between the two scan bodies. Instead, orienting the D-cut of the front scan body to face forward and the D-cut of the back scan body to face backward provides sufficient space and prevents confusion for the scanner. This is what I call strategic positioning of scan bodies. The next important step is to scan in sequence. Sequential scanning means, instead of trying to scan both scan bodies simultaneously, scan one scan body first, then scan the other. This helps to avoid overlapping issues and ensures each scan body is captured accurately. This is where we can take advantage of the strength of Medit software. As another user advised, we can scan the scan body positioned in the front first, lock it to preserve this data, and then go on to scan the scan body positioned in the back. He also recommended using a resin marker to make scanning easier and enhance the accuracy of the scan. The scanner can more easily identify the positional relationship of the implants because it will now have another reference point. Let's look at the collaborative treatment process by Dr. Zhang and Chen for an 82-year-old female implant patient. As seen in the patient's X-ray, the space for placing 2 implants was very limited, and 2 4-millimeter diameter implants were placed. For impression taking, Dr. Zhang measured the length of the mesiodistal space and anticipated that there would not be enough space when using scan bodies. Therefore, he decided to take the scan using 2 stock abutments. He selected 2 prefabricated abutments with a 4-millimeter diameter and strategically positioned them so that the anti-rotation flat surfaces used for alignment faced mesially and distally. Now it's Chen's turn. Chen always mentally visualizes the scanning sequence strategy before starting. She dislikes overlapping scan data and therefore aims to complete the scan with concise movements in a single attempt. She also prefers placing resin markers on the palatal side. After completing the scan of the front implant, Chen always trims the data and uses the lock function to protect the well-obtained data before moving on to the next scan. She then completes the scan with precise movements within the limited area. Developing this scanning sequence habit is crucial for scanning multiple scan bodies. This is a summary of how to deal with scan bodies in close proximity. By following these steps, you can improve the accuracy of scanning 2 scan bodies, even when space is limited. We hope this answers the question on scanning strategy.
This has been the July session of Please Solve Me. Thank you once again for joining us. See you next month. Thank you.
Thank you.